I can surely give him the right time. Do you have internet, Sheikh?
It should be good.
It's live? Okay, good.
Yeah, bismillah.
Right. Inshallah, the Sheikh will speak for as long as needed. Then after that, we'll have Q&A. We have all night long in the masjid, so feel free to relax, rest. Don't sleep, but like pay attention, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Bismillah.
شيخ ما شاء الله يعني ليس عندي أي مزيد على مقدمتك.
Okay, let's go.
موافق على كل نقطة.
بارك الله فيكم. جزاكم الله خير.
ومقدمة موجزة وموفقة.
بارك الله فيكم.
يعني هل جهلنا وتجاهلنا.
سبحان الله. أحسن الله.
اشتغلنا بالقيل وقال وفلان وعلان والعلوم لكن.
These are the key points. Now you get into.
اللب.
نعم.
عندنا الأئمة يعني.
نعم. We have sisters upstairs, that's why we need the microphone.
Perfect. Bismillah. Hassan, do you have the message?
Yes.
So if you would like, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you could share the book, airdrop, or however you like to, with the brothers. It's a book of mine that I wrote, I put together some years ago, me and some of my former students. And surprisingly enough, there is an introduction regarding tazkiyah. And I think, wallahu ta'ala alam, just as I mentioned about Sheikh Muhammad's, his muqaddimah, that it is accurate, it is needed. And there's nothing more that I have to say with regards to his introduction about the importance of tazkiyah to nufus, tazkiyah to nafs, the misconceptions. Inshallah, we'll see in the book, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So, Hassan, if you would mind sharing it with the brothers and sisters?
I've done so.
Okay, anybody would like to read the book, copy of the book, no problem. I don't mind if you print the book with the condition that you print it for free or your own personal usage. Please, nothing commercial, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, jazakumullah khairan. Inshallah, you guys let me know if and when you have the book open and we'll read from it. If the sisters as well, if you can get it to them. If someone has a wife or a sister, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. All right. So let's move to page 4, which will be page 2 in the PDF. So the book is called Ramadan and Fasting, based on the comprehensive Ramadan workshop. The book is about Ramadan and fasting, but we have learned from our teachers, our shuyukh, from one thing we learn other things. وبالمثال أو وعلى هذا فقس. نعم وعلى هذا فقس. So fasting, what does fasting have to do with purification of the soul? And what does purification of the soul have to do with fasting? How many rak'at can I make? Just as the Sheikh mentioned. 20 rak'at, no, that's bid'ah. Maybe it is. 40 rak'ah, that's haram. Only 10, only 11. Do we make qunutul witr every night? If so, before ruku', after ruku'? Those are important things to know, to study. However, are we getting the point and the purpose of Ramadan and fasting? Are we grabbing a tree or a couple of trees and missing the forest? And then there are those who only focus on the holistic grasp of the forest, but they're ignoring this is a tree that you cannot ignore. This is a ruling. It says haram, you cannot do this. You cannot go against this ruling. Inshallah, you'll see in the book, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. All right, everybody ready? Inshallah? Okay, who's our volunteer to read? Abdurrahman? He thought you could escape? He knows what that means. You didn't escape me, I was in Toronto. I'm back to bother you some more. You still got those snads? Those chains of narration?
Yeah, I got them.
Inshallah. All right, everybody listen carefully, please. Bismillah. Let's go.
Spiritual hygiene.
Spiritual hygiene. That is the term that I chose to use. Right now, we're speaking the English language. Spiritual hygiene. Bismillah.
Importance.
That's the first main point. Ahamiyatu tazkiyah. Tazkiyah may or may not be obligatory. It could be something that you don't have to do, but for sure we can agree that it is. Lahu ahamiyah. It is something that has its importance. Why? How is tazkiyatun nafs important? Al-Muhim, we're dealing with the main point. Number 2. Listen carefully, guys.
It pertains to the soul.
I'm just going to the next summarized point first, inshallah. Number 2.
It is from
Necessity.
the life of this world.
Something can be necessary, can be fard, can be wajib, and it still has its what? Importance. Everyone understand? So right now you have a class to do, or khutbah to do. And the topic is going to be on the siwak. So you're going to break into the main points. Number 1, fadl al-siwak, ahamiyat al-siwak, faidat al-siwak, hukm al-siwak, النصوص الواردة في السواك. Right? الحديث, الآثار, وهكذا. آداب السواك. And then the fiqhiyat and المسائل الخلافية of siwak. Right hand or left hand. Can you use a toothbrush or does it have to be? So that's how you're going to mentally, and on paper or in a book, you're going to put together your talk. Your khutbah, your book, same format. Salah. What is the virtue of prayer? Not do I have to make this prayer, but what is the fadl of salah? What is the importance of salah? What is the ruling of salah? What are the types of salah? What are the things which are disliked in salah? Everyone understand this? Alright, so number 1 is the importance of spiritual hygiene. Why is it important? Number 2, not only is it important, but it's something which is necessary. Something which is what? It's necessary. Number 3.
Obtain and maintain.
Obtain and maintain. Those are the 2 principles. Many of us, speakers, listeners, when we talk about tazkiyah, we talk about a thing that we didn't even obtain. Or we speak on a thing and we only talk about getting it and catching it. And we don't speak on maintaining it. So yeah, I don't understand this. Like a fish. You take the fish out of the water, it's on the deck of the boat. You laugh, you joke, hey, blah, 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 blah. And the next thing you know, the fish what? Right back into the water. Or it's hot, it's sunny, there are flies, there's an animal, there's a bird, and the next thing you know, your precious fish is what? It's gone. Listen carefully. Obtaining a thing. Once you obtain that thing, how do you? Maintain. Making money is relatively easy. Keeping that money, saving that money, investing that money, allowing the money to bloom and blossom, that's the difficult challenge. A fool and his wealth are soon parted. It's a qaid of life. A foolish man or a foolish woman, it's a short period of time before that money will be taken away from him. So obtaining a thing is one thing. Getting married. You were happy when you got married. Everybody was, alhamdulillah. But now, a year later, you start to argue. You start to fight. You start to lose interest in the marriage. She loses interest in the marriage. You guys don't love each other the same way. You're not attracted to each other the same way. You fight. On the 3rd step, which is allow the marriage to flourish. So obtaining tazkiyah, after you obtain it, you now have to what? Keep it. Next point.
Who is the one who actually purifies your soul?
Who is the muzakki? من هو المزكي؟ هل الإنسان يزكي نفسه فحسب؟ الرب عز وجل هو الذي يزكي فحسب، يعني ليس لك دخل في التزكية، ليس لك يد، ليس لك عمل، ليس لك أي شيء. ما هو القول الصحيح في هذا؟ Alright, next point.
Misunderstandings.
مفاهيم خاطئة حول التزكية. مفاهيم خاطئة، تصورات فاسدة حول التزكية. وما أكثرها. عند ما أريد أن أبالغ، ولكن إلا من استثنى الله، يعني إلا من رحم ربي، كل الطوائف وكل الفرق والجماعات الدعوية تجد عندها شيء من الغلو والقصور والتقصير وأخطاء، تصورات فاسدة في التزكية. كل الطوائف إلا من رحم الله. فضل.
Ruling of tazkiyatun nafs.
What's the ruling of it? Do I have to do it? Is it a must? Is it partially obligatory, etc.? Fadda?
Virtues.
All right, so those are the main points. Now let's get into the meat of things, the virtues. Bismillah.
Virtues of the month of Ramadan.
Now, let's go back. Go back to the spiritual hygiene. Bismillah.
Once.
Yes, back to the first point. Now, the time of truth has arrived, Hisham. We'll see how well you forged this blade or not. Naam. Bismillah, fadal.
Importance, number 1. It pertains to the soul, which should be the first and last priority and point of concern for the wise believer.
All right, let's read that again. Everybody listen carefully, please. Why is tazkiyah so important? Why? Because it pertains to لأنها تتعلق بالروح بالنفس والمفروض أن يكون هذا نصب عينك. That is supposed to be the goal, your soul, spiritual salvation. Why are you even a Muslim? Why do you pray? Why do you make hajj except to do your what? Protect and to save and to deliver your what? Your soul. So how can tazkiyah nafs be something just what? على الهوامش والحواشي يعني. How can it just be on the side? That makes no sense. Faddal.
Number 2. It is from the rudimentary concepts of
Usul al-Din. The Surah Makkiyah, the Ayat Makkiyah talk about and speak on what? What are most verses that talk about tazkiyah? Or one can say a lot for sure. They are in the surahs that were sent down during when? The Meccan period. Is this not the case? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ? That's what? Makki or Madani? Is this not the case or not? The stories of the prophets and the messengers, they did what? يَتَطَهَّرُونَ, right? Faddal.
Number 3. The overabundant ways of defiling the self in our water.
Because there's so much dirt outside and so much filth, then the soap, the shampoo, the astringent has to be strong and plentiful. Because there's so many ways of dirt. So common sense, the opposite has to be just as what? Is this not the case or not? Okay, Canadian winter is so much. So the windows have to be what? The roof has to be what? The heating system, the insulation has to be what? At least equal, let alone stronger than what's needed. Faddal.
Number 4. The scholars of the past gave it a great...
The scholars of today, maybe not. Du'at today, maybe not. Your group, your jama'ah, your firqa, your website, mumkin. But we're talking about the ulama of the past. They gave it importance. And it was never a sideshow. Abadan. Rather, it was at the core of their message. Imam al-Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Nasa'i, all of them have chapters on Zuhd and Raqa'iq. There's no major hadith compilation except that there's a chapter on Zuhd and Raqa'iq. Melting the heart, softening the heart. Imam Abu Dawood, Imam Ahmad, kullum, they all have kutub al-Zuhd. Waki ibn al-Jarrah, Hanad ibn al-Sari. So how are we supposed to be following them, adopting their way? Ahl hadith, I'm Ahl hadith, tayyib. Aqidah, mashi. Tasawwuk, this, that, Ahl hadith. Lakin al-qalb was tazkiyah, la. How did the disconnect take place? That makes no sense. And we understand this. Faddal.
Number 5. It is one of the major practical lessons to be taken from the 5 pillars of Islam.
One of the most practical lessons to be taken from Bunya al-Islam ala khams. The Shahadatayn. In reality, you look at the Shahadatayn, its core message is tazkiyah. Is cleaning yourself from the filth of shirk, the impurities of polytheism. Your heart being attached to other than Allah, hoping for other than Allah, fearing other than Allah. Respecting and honoring other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need that's tazkiyah. Your ibadah, this is the Rasul's haqq, for you to follow him and only him. And not to take his statement and put it along with Imam Fulan or Sheikh Fulan or Taifa Fulaniya. As-salah, what's the core lesson of salah is what? Allahu Akbar min kulli shay. Min al-mal, ومن النساء, women. Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater than money. Allah is greater than my sexual desires. Allah is greater than my personal feelings. It's tazkiyah. Az-zakah. Need more? The word itself is what? Zakah, purification, fasting. What's one of the main lessons of fasting is what? La, tazkiyah, purification, spiritual purification. You're addicted to that food and that drink. You need a little break. Your physical body needs a little what? A purge. You need to take some of that out of your system. I remember that's tazkiyah. Hajj. How much suffering do you do on Hajj? How tired, how exhausted are you? Your ego is stepped on when you make Hajj. That's what? That's tazkiyah. That's purge. It has to come out. Everyone understand this? Next point.
Point 6. It is of the utmost importance for the slave to realize that it is one of the greatest blessings of Allah on him or her.
That a tazkiyah is a ni'mah. What's the proof for this? وَلَوْلَا من الآية ما زكى منكم من أبدا. That's from the Quran. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is reminding the Sahaba of His favor upon them. If it wasn't for me and my mercy, ما زكى منكم من أحد أبدا. None of you would have what? Tazkiyah. So those from among you who have tazkiyah, it is a what? Ata ilahi. It's a gift, it's a blessing. All right. Fadda, bismillah.
Necessity. Number 1. The life of this world touches each and every single one of us.
Why do you have to take a shower? Why do you have to wash up? Because when it's hot outside, when it's humid outside, everyone is going to sweat and perspire. Everybody. You have a lot of hair in your body. You have a little bit of hair in your body. You have strong hormones. You eat this, you drink this. Everybody gets hot in the summertime. Is this not the case? Whether you walk, whether you drive, this heat is going to touch what? Everyone. Now a Muslim asks you, are you hot dressed like that? Of course I'm hot. It's 95 degrees. Common sense. And you're half naked and you're also what? It's the dumbest thing in the world. Are you hot? I'm not sweating, but obviously the weather is. You get the point I'm trying to make? So everybody is touched by the hayat dunya. Nobody, not the scholar, not the warrior, everybody is a target of the shaitan. So if everybody is at mu'arrad, la bud min tazkiyah. Fadda.
2. There's a great number of callers to the defilement of the soul.
Du'at. There are callers who call you to base, low filth. There's no doubt about that. Something for you to watch, which will will soil your soul. There are things for you to listen to that will soil your soul. There are things for you to eat and drink, things for you to wear. There's an abundance of callers to the defilement of the soul. So this is why the opposite is absolutely necessary.
3. There isn't any one of us except that he or she sins, forgets, and becomes heedless at one point.
3 points. Sins, forgets, becomes heedless. Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned that iron, metals, they become rusty. How are they polished? The qalb becomes rusty and is polished through certain things. Everybody's going to forget, no matter how sharp you are. And everyone is going to make a sin or a mistake, no matter how pious. And everyone is going to sleep for a second. No one is going to be vigilant 24/7. That's human nature. Fadal.
4. It is necessary in understanding much of the Quran.
Much of the Quran cannot be understood without tazkiyah. The Quran was sent down to be what? لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. This is why Allah sent it down. One of the main reasons. One of the purposes of Allah sending the Quran was for us to understand it. So how can we understand this verse, this surah, if we don't have no knowledge of tazkiyah? Fatal.
5. It is a key factor in learning and benefiting from ilm, which is mandatory upon each.
As a sheikh, كما تفضل به sheikh, amen. Knowledge and tazkiyah are supposed to be what? Connected and intertwined. You can't be reading Sahih Bukhari, studying Sahih Bukhari, but your soul and your akhlaq is, your heart is something is off. And this is يعني من المصائب التي عمت وطمت في هذا العصر. طبعا الله المستعان. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. تفضل.
6. How can the Muslim raise righteous Muslim children if he himself doesn't have spiritual hygiene?
How are you going to tell your children to be clean? Take a shower, son. Your son says, you didn't take a shower today. Right? Brush your teeth. I don't see you brush your teeth. So how can you promote cleanliness if you yourself are what? Really not that clean. And, yani, obviously, is raising children obligatory? Or an option? For sure. قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَكُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ. So it's a must. So if you have to take care of your children and you'll be asking them on Qiyamah, مَا لَا يَتِمُ بِهِ الْوَاجِبِ إِلَّا. This is a necessary component of that. Fatal.
Obtain and maintain.
All right, how to obtain and how to maintain. Isaiah, Jazakallah khair, Abdurrahman. Barakallahu fikum. Fatal. Yes. There's only one.
It doesn't reach you, you gotta go there.
Number 1, asking Allah through dua.
Number 1, the first step of obtaining tazkiyah is not reading this book. It is not sitting with this sheikh. It is not going to this mountain retreat. It is not going into seclusion for a month or 3 months or 3 moons. It is not this dream. It is not going to this university. It is not dressing like this or trimming that. Abadan. The very first step to obtain tazkiyah is a dua.
Number 2, reading the specific prophetic supplications regarding purifying the soul.
The specific prophetic purifications. Every hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is going to lead to purification of your soul. Every verse in the Quran is going to lead to the purification of your soul. But there are verses and hadiths which are specific, in which the Rasul ﷺ asked Allah for tazkiyah. Give our souls the tazkiyah. Anta khayru, anta umawlaha. There's no question about that. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin ومن بالله عليك يا شيخ أليس هو سؤال التزكية؟ تفضل.
Abstaining from eating the haram.
Eating the haram, whether it is the wealth that's haram or the actual food itself which is haram. And we live in a time in which we promote you are what you eat, being organic and vegan and plant-based. But what about the soul? Is your aqidah plant-based? Is it natural, or is it made up in the 6th century or the 8th century or waliyadu billah, the 20th century? How far back does your aqidah go back, Isaiah? Is it GMO? This olive oil, I can trace it back to the olive oil farmer. This burger that I'm about to eat, I can trace it back to the exact cow. Versus only Allah knows what's in this patty. Things that fall on the floor in the butcher shop, and the meat glue, etc. This color, this dye. That's not beef that you're eating. So just think about that now. Think about this. Fatal.
Abstaining from eating the halal through haram meats.
So zabiha chicken from riba. Mushkila. Mushkila kabira. And many of us are victims of this. We're victims of this, unfortunately. We want good for our children. We feed them the halal things, we send them to the Quran school, but through what? A المال الخبيث الكسب السحت يعني للأسف. بسم الله جزاك الله خيرا.
Not submitting to the will of the nafs.
Not submitting to the will of your nafs. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala mentions, and I wanted to share the kalam if we have enough time. He said, "Ihdhar nafsaka." Beware of your own soul. فَمَا أَصَابَكَ بَلَاءٌ قَطُّ إِلَّا مِنْهَا. No calamity has ever befallen you except because of your own nafs. Think about that. Every time you got into a bad situation, it was because of you bending your knee to your what? Your nafs. I overslept, I missed my flight because you hit the snooze button. You were supposed to get up and disobey and not to yield to your nafs. I got sick because you ate what? Too much. Okay? If you're out in the street or in the streets, you got caught up, you got set up, you got in a really bad situation because what? You weren't supposed to what? You had no business being there alone at that time without this and that. You followed your what? Your whims. Whether it's a female, whether it's this, the bank robber, he only gets caught because of what? Following his what? His nafs. First job was easy. Second job was easier. And the next thing you know, he becomes addicted to the adrenaline rush. Addicted to the quick, easy, simple money. And that's how they catch him. The detective knows we don't have to look for him. He's gonna ruin himself. Trust me. Ihdhar nafsaka. Beware of your nafs. فَمَا أَصَابَكَ بَلَاءٌ قَطُّ إِلَّا مِنْهَا. Allah al-Musta'an. That itself is a lecture. How to disrespect your nafs. And Ibn al-Qayyim says, is that he who respects it and listens to it will be ruined. You have to break the nafs. You have to tame it. You have to say, listen, you're not in control here. Fadal.
Seeking and learning beneficial knowledge from the book and the sunnah.
طلب العلم سبب من أسباب التزكية. But هذا مقيد بماذا؟ بطلب العلم إيش؟ النافع, beneficial knowledge. You leaving the lecture with a bunch of rhetoric, this and that, and fulan, waqil, waqal, wa'alan. That's not what? That's not ilm nafi'. That's not beneficial knowledge. You left the lecture feeling hard-hearted, wanting to go outside and beat up a Muslim and fight him, and knee him, and kick him, and then throw him. That's not what? That's not beneficial knowledge. You are taught, you go overseas for a year or 6 months, and you come back to your local imam, وَتُنَاقِحُهُ وَتُنَاقِشُهُ تَتَطَاوَلْ عَلَيْهِ عِلْمُكَ غَيْرُ نَافِعٍ. You did not benefit in Egypt or Yemen or Saudi. If you came back disrespecting your former teacher, the knowledge that takes friends that were starving, hungry, sharing a plate of khubz, tanis, food. That's all you guys, we were starving overseas. We came back to America, talk about each other, disrespect each other, we split up. The knowledge wasn't what? Was not beneficial. Beneficial knowledge has a scent, has a smell, has a funk, an aroma. You can smell it, you can feel it when the knowledge is beneficial. I left the lecture feeling like a better Muslim. I left the lecture, my heart was so soft and tender. I left the lecture and I learned so much. I felt closer to Allah. I felt a greater desire to seek more knowledge because the knowledge was what? Beneficial. Like food. Good food, wholesome food. You don't have indigestion from it afterwards. It's not super greasy or burning your stomach, but it settles in the digest what? Well, it makes you feel good. Versus some food which was, it runs through your system. Just think about these words. Beneficial knowledge versus fraudulent knowledge. Information, sound bites, fulan, da da da. It's not ilm nafi'. Faddal.
Constantly looking into the life stories of the scholars of hadith.
Constantly looking into the life stories of the ulama of hadith. What did Sufyan al-Thawri do? Shu'bah ibn al-Hajjaj, what did he do? What did Yahya ibn Sayyid al-Qattan do? Abdurrahman ibn Mahdi, how did they live? How did they fast? How did they read? Reading the seer of the muhaddithin. It's a major means of tazkiyah. And there's another example of the disconnect between them and between us. We claim to be upon their way, but in reality, something is off. We are not following the people of Hadith in everything that we're supposed to be following them. Maybe a few things, but not in everything. Fadl.
Abstaining from unnecessary pleasures and luxuries of the dunya.
Some pleasures are necessary. Some pleasures you have no choice to eat, to drink, to sleep, to rest, to give your body its haqq. But too much drinking, that Slurpee may be too big. Let me see that. Let me pass that up here. You might have to. You got caught though. So this is subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. Sure. It says, warning, brain freeze may occur. So, على سبيل المثال, one can say that this is khair, but too much Slurpee. Fadl. Bismillah. You guys get the point, Fadl.
Accompanying the righteous.
Accompanying the righteous. If you hang around people that have no care or concern for tazkiyah, how do you think you're going to end up? That makes no sense. مثل الجليس الصالح والجليس السوء. A good friend is like a cologne or perfume merchant. You cannot lose with this person. إما أن يحذيك وإما أن تبتاع منه وإما أن تشم منه ريحا طيبة. Free sample. You buy something at a good price, exclusive fragrance, or at least pleasant aroma. And obviously the bad companion is going to wear off on you. Al-Tabu Sarraq. Character is a thief. It steals. You don't even realize how character rubs off. You think that I'm calling him, I'm bringing him, I'm inviting him, but in reality, you may, but when you grab and touch something, what's left on your hand? Is this not the case or not? Just think about that. You take out the trash. You're in control of it, right? You're dragging it, pulling it, and throwing it. But while you're doing that, you have what? That's why they wear gloves. Character is a thief, good or bad. You may accompany someone righteous, you don't even realize that they're rubbing off on you in a good, positive way, subconsciously. That's basic human psychology. And the Quran and Sunnah constantly tells us to be with the righteous. Do not be with the munafiqeen. Don't be from the ghafilin, right? That's everything. Fadl.
Properly paying zakat.
Paying zakat is a means of tazkiyah. How many of us pay zakat properly? I don't know about Canada, but in the United States, not all, but many Muslims, they think zakat is sadaqah on Friday. The sadaqah box, they think that's a rupal ushur. Unfortunately. They don't know the basic of zakat. What are the 8 types of wealth of which you have to pay zakat? Or the recipients, al-masarif. Who are the 8 types of people you can pay zakat to? Quickly. فقراء مساكين, poor, needy. طيب. العاملين عليها, those who are employees to collect the zakat. Quickly, guys. Which means in English, people in debt. Travelers, wayfarers, good. What does that mean in 2025? Is that mansukh? Al-Muhim. All right, what is the type of wealth and what you must pay zakat for? Quickly. Super quick, guys.
We haven't covered zakat and fiqh yet.
Allah, Sheikh, they should know. Precious metals, okay? Livestock, tayyib? Land. Whether it's right or wrong, but there's a fiqh of zakat. Next point. Cash. Bismillah, fadal.
Next one.
Yes, please.
Voluntary fasting.
Mondays, Thursdays, the 3 white nights, 3 days out of every month. Muharram, Ashura, etc.
Sadaqah.
Sadaqah, voluntary charity. Not obligatory, but additional. is a major means of tazkiyah. طيب, Jazakallah khairan. Who is the one who actually purifies your soul, gives you spiritual hygiene? Fadl. Hassan, Fadl.
Number one, from one aspect, the only one who can purify the soul is Allah the Most High.
من جانب التزكية بيد الله فحسب وحده ليس للعبد مدخل ولا دخل ليس له أي يد في التزكية أبدا. هذا من one's perspective is that Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one who gives tazkiyah. You have no hand in it, period. But from another aspect, number two,
Continue reading.
please.
He in whose hands is all good, he who created Adam and his offspring, he who possesses their hearts in his hand between his fingers, the exalted.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Number two,
ولكن, however,
from another aspect, the one who purifies the soul is the slave himself.
the exact opposite. From another perspective, you are the one responsible for tazkiyah. You are the one to wash, to clean, to defile, etc. And you can't just say, oh, Allah will guide me. Allah will, if He wants to, Allah will purify me. Oh, Allah will take care of it. This is a problem, and this is an extreme. You must work. وَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا دَعَى سَعْيُهُ هُوَ. Your actions, your deeds. So that's a big problem that we have. What's going on in the ummah today? Oh, we make dua and that's it. You have to physically work. You're on earth. You're the human being. You must put forth the physical effort. And you're responsible for the success or the failure through your exertion of efforts. Fadal.
Misunderstandings and misconceptions. This topic is only for the Sufis.
That's all right. طيب. So tazkiyah is يعني ما يتحدث عنه المتصوفة أو المتأثرون بهم. Wallah, is this not said? Is it strange for you to hear this in a lecture or a book? If you talk about tazkiyah, often they'll eventually call you a closet or they'll call you a crypto Sufi. Need I mention? Need I say? Just imagine every single khutbah I'm talking about tazkiyah, heart, dhikr, purification. There will be some of you shabab who says the sheikhs. Am I making this up? You think it's far-fetched? That's a fact. And one of the only reasons, let's keep it real now, why people don't think that and say that is because of the powerful reputation. But if you read some things, if you put a piece of tape on a book, you say this is some Sufi nonsense. You take off the tape, no, I meant, you think I'm making this up? And there are reasons behind this, with the history of Ibn Qayyim. Read about how he learned, and how he met Ibn Taymiyyah, and how he studied on him. Read, you'll be shocked. And many people today, they claim things, unfortunately. So Tazkiyah to Nafs is only a Sufi thing. It's a mystical thing. It has nothing to do with Ahl Sunnah, Ahl Hadith. It has nothing to do with the Salaf Salih. We don't call to it. We don't talk about it. That's just some old Sufi stuff in outer space. Number two, the second misconception.
The second misconception is this topic is foreign to the Salaf Salih, Ahl Sunnah.
Like the first point. That's the first point. It's not from their way to talk about this. Number three.
There is the only or most important part of the religion.
The exact opposite. All of the deen is just tazkiyah. And dhikr and the heart and staying away from the haram and fasting, that's the deen. Aqeedah, hadathana akhbarana. Is this not the case? Asbab al-nuzul, usulutha, هذا يشغل عن الذكر والعبادة. That's an extreme. And don't ever forget, extremism begets what? Extremism. If you look at the history of bid'ah, you'll find that this group was spawned by that group. The Khawarij came, And then came the what? The Murji'ah. And another, and a third, and a fourth to 2025, to this very day. This masjid branched off because they thought you're an innovator, and next thing you know, now they're at each other's throats. Am I making this up? Some of the names and some of the great personalities in 2015, 10 years later, they're now what? Because they themselves were extreme in 2015, speaking against others. Zulm and baghi. And they became victims of that what? That zulm and that baghi 10 years later. Man sadda sayf al-baghi qutila bihi. And you don't have to learn it in Arabic. In English, we say you live by the gun, you what? That's a fact. Know for sure it will come back to you. Faddal.
Number 3. There are an entirely different set of principles and rules for purifying the soul.
Ilm al-Tazkiyah has its own adillah, has its own fiqh. You can do things outside of the Quran and Sunnah. That's a misconception. Tazkiyah is regulated, performed by nothing other than what? Just like Aqidah, Ibadat, Siyasa, Suluk is one divine source for everything. There is no separate pool. Abadan.
A scholar can purify your soul for you.
Of course. There's no doubt about that. Whether the sheikh is in the masjid, whether he was a ghutra, shimag, a turban, the sheikh will give me a tazkiyah. That's a fact. He will purify my soul. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be saying this. Sheikh Fulan knows me. Khalas. I sit with Sheikh Fulan. Is this not the case? And if a person doesn't say it with their tongue, but their actions clearly prove that they believe that he has the magic wand for the tazkiyah, that's enough. And it's a big problem among all groups as well. Fadl.
False and bogus hadiths, rather total blatant lies, can be used in the purification of the soul.
Akhi, the hadith is mawdu' fi isnadihi fulan. Akhi, tazkiyah. What's the problem? We're only talking about tazkiyah. There are enough sahih hadiths for that. Fadl.
This topic is obsolete in 2019.
There's no need. Obviously, the book was written when? 2019, so 6 years later. So we don't need that anymore. We need to talk about this. We need to speak about that. We need to focus on this. Tazkiyah was, in the waqt. Like in the zaman, that's done now. Rather, the exact opposite. We need to talk about tazkiyah even more in 2025. More than we did in 2000. More than we did in 19, etc. Fadl.
Purification of the soul can be reached through disparaging other Muslims.
That's how you get tazkiyah, by talking about Muslims rapaciously, day and night. Day and night. Hisham is kada, he's this, his tea is this, his that. That's going to get me closer to Allah. That's going to purify my soul by me attacking his flesh. It may be right. He may be an innovator. We said this in Toronto. We're in Windsor now. Nah? Am I making this up or not? Didn't we have Abdurrahman? Maybe. He may be an innovator. However, me focusing on him being an innovator 24/7, is that going to give me tazkiyah? Fadl.
There aren't any practical and tangible means of purifying the soul. Rather, it will suddenly descend from heaven upon the slave.
You go to sleep, you wake up in the morning, and what?
Become a Sufi.
See? Point proven or not? So I'm not just making stuff up in the book. He subconsciously fell into the misconception. Fadl. You get it right. He said, become a Sufi. No one even mentioned Sufi, but automatically, Allah musta'an. Fadl.
Purification of the soul can be reached through making the halal haram.
Allah. Purification of the soul can be reached through making halal haram. We can just make up things. It's okay. I had a dream about it. It doesn't matter. Bismillah. You can just do it. The end justifies the means. Fadl.
Rulings of Tazkiyatun Nafs. Tazkiyatun Nafs is felt upon each and every servant of Allah.
Fard ayn. It's fard ayn. Not kifai, fard ayn. It is an individual obligation for you to strive to obtain, to maintain, and to allow your tazkiyah to flourish. That's not your father's job, your imam's job. That is whose job? This is your job. Talib al-ilm, graduate of Medina or wherever you graduated from. That's your job. So there's collective and then there's individual. So bidnillahi ta'ala, the moral story al-maqsood is that these are some points which I think if you actually look at, you'll find them comprehensive for the whole concept of tazkiyah to nafs. I don't think there's anything in the English language in this style, like this. Not boasting or bragging. But that's why I shared the book with you. Jazakumullah khairan. Obviously, we could sit here and talk about tazkiyah for a very long time. The books in Arabic, the ulama who specialize in it, all of the different ayat, we mentioned a few of them, a few of the hadith. There are many with regards to tazkiyah to nufus and its importance, its virtue. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to allow our souls to become purified and to stay purified, to be fully cleansed. Ameen. Jazakumullah khairan. It was my joy, it was my pleasure to visit you here tonight. If anyone would like to add something, correct something, Hisham, now is the time. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And if not, if there's time for questions, I don't mind taking a few. Bi'idhnillah. Barakallahu fikum.
Sheikh, I have a question of my own. Then I have a couple of questions I know they want to ask, but they're too nervous.
Allah.
This is a very hot topic in our halaqah here.
Bismillah.
So my own question is, if you could just elaborate more on the effect of learning the siyar of the salihin and the muhaddithin and its connection to tazkiyah, because we have every Sunday after Isha a halaqah in the institute about this very subject, and sadly not a single student attends that halaqah.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Well, first and foremost is tazkiyah to nafs. One of the impurities of this type of steel is entitlement. You feeling entitled, especially in 2025. I deserve this. That's not fair. You left me on red. You didn't do this. You didn't. People are extremely entitled in 2025. People always victimize themselves. I'm always the victim. I don't deserve this. This isn't right. So on and so forth, right? So when you read the different biographies of the Imams of Hadith, ask yourself a serious question. Are you as pious as Imam al-Bukhari? Maybe, maybe not, but are you? I know for sure I can't even begin to say yes. What did Imam al-Bukhari go through? How much did he suffer? How much scandal did he go through? So if Imam al-Bukhari, who fasted, who prayed, who made this khatam, who traveled, who was this great prodigy, this generational, you can't even say generational talent. Imam al-Bukhari could be, I don't even know, extraterrestrial talent from another world. If he went through all of these trials and tribulations, who are you to give up and complain? Who are you to think, oh, the brothers are trying to, who are you? Just think about what all of these prophets and messengers, the questions about the muhaddithin, but it's the concept, how much suffering did the prophets go through? Shu'aib, Yunus, Nuh, Ibrahim. What did they go through? And how close were they to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So the more you read of these people who are better, who are more pious, who are more righteous, who are more devoted to knowledge, that will lessen and lighten the burden for your entitlement. You want to give up, you want to quit, you want to strike out and lash out at someone who's doing this to you, so on and so forth. So you allow yourself, it allows you to look at yourself lesser. It's not always about me. It's bigger and it's greater than me. Sacrifice. I went overseas, my parents got mad at me, got angry at me, so I have to fit that. Sufyan al-Thawri, Imam Malik, how much did he sacrifice to seek ilm? How much did this alim of hadith, Basra, Kufra, Baghdad, Wasit? So it's very important to read these biographies for you to purge yourself of these impurities. Haste. How long did Imam Ahmed study this? How long did he sit and wait for this alim to come out to him? So these impurities, they have to be burnt out of you. And one of the ways is you read about those people and what they went through, what they sacrificed, and what they suffered. And if you're a student of hadith or supposed student of hadith, and you don't read the biographies of the imams of hadith, يعني لا أتصور كونك طالب حديث يعني مستحيل. لا أتصور أنا. I can't see how you're a student of hadith if you're not reading those biographies. All people of all professions read about the legends and past greats. Is this not the case? A baller in 2025, he's studying the tape and the film of who? Of this one and that one. In all professions. That's a fact. والله تعالى أعلم. هذا باختصار طبعا.
There are a few questions that I'm only going to ask two for the sake of time.
بسم الله.
One pertains to the hadith, because mashallah,
بضاعتنا مزجاة يا شيخ. ما عندنا شيء.
أحب الصالحين ولست منهم يا شيخ. So, is it true that if the hadith is in Fadail al-A'mal, it can be accepted without condition and restrictions, even if it's ضعيف, موضوع, munkar, باطل, whatever it is?
Clear. لا أبدا. كلام لا يستقيم. That is untrue. That's incorrect. Even the scholars who say that you're allowed to use or mention a weak hadith, they have placed conditions. So there are two main views concerning mentioning or using a weak hadith. Right now, for the sake of time and simplicity, let's keep it just for فضاء الأعمال. حتى في العقيدة رويت وفي الأحكام كذلك. كتب الأئمة خير دليل على هذا، لكن لنحصر الكلام الآن في الفضائل. Okay, so right now we're talking about virtuous acts. Sadaqah, zakah, hajj, so on and so forth. Can I mention a weak hadith in my book or my khutbah? Some say yes, and some say no. The scholars who have said yes, they didn't just leave the door wide open, but instead they made what? Conditions. So, and this is a big problem. People taking the different khilaf, the different views of the ulama, taking a fatwa incorrectly. And a perfect example of this, musical instruments. So for argument's sake, a brother says, I follow the opinion, a brother says, musical instruments aren't haram. Sheikh Fulan said it, so on and so forth. Okay, no problem. But let me see what you're listening to. Wait a second, Sheikh Fulan, he never allowed that song to be played. For argument's sake, he said you could listen to this, but he never said what? That. So often we don't even follow correctly. So the ulama who held that view that it's lawful, they put what? Dawabit wa quyud. Perfect example, another example, mortgages. Is it lawful for a Muslim to have a traditional mortgage living in the West as a Muslim minority? A person says it's permissible, Sheikh Fulan allowed it, he's more knowledgeable than me, I trust him, I take his fatwa. طيب لا بأس. But هل فتح الباب على مصراعيه ولا وضع شروطا وضوابط يعني علمية دقيقة لابد أن تراعى. He put conditions and regulations. If this is the case, it's lawful. If this is the situation, then you can get the traditional mortgage. But he did not just open the door and leave it what? Wide open. So there's a bigger problem that we suffer from. Not knowing how to be blind followers. Which we shouldn't even be from the get-go. But for argument's sake, if you're going to blind follow, then you need to do it what? Right. You got to do it right. Everybody with me or not? So therefore, the scholars who said that it's lawful to use weak hadiths or to mention weak hadiths in Fadail al-Amal, they put conditions. The first condition, أَلَّا يَشْتَدَّ ضَعْفُهُ. أَلَّا يَشْتَدَّ ضَعْفُهُ. فخرج بقولهم أَلَّا يَشْتَدَّ ضَعْفُهُ ما قيل فيه منكر وباطل فضلا عن موضوع لا يجوز ليس لك روايته إلا مع بيان هذه. هو. So this hadith is just weak versus this hadith is what? Extremely weak. So the scholars who allowed it, they said that the weakness has to be slight. Has to be what? Slight. So if a student felt he got a 50, you're the principal of the school, I come, listen, this is my son, Abdurrahman, I'm asking you for a personal favor. Please, if he's left behind, it's going to ruin everything. It's going to mess everything up. His mother's going to be heartbroken. He passed all of his classes, but unfortunately, he failed your class. I'm personally asking you to what? Bump him up. Okay, Abdurrahman, he got a 50. Mashi, I give him 10 points. Versus he got a 20. He got a 0. So hadith which is slightly weak versus hadith which is what? Number 2, أن لا يعتقد صحة نسبته إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. For you not to believe that the Prophet said it. وإنما تقول جاء روية بصيغة التمريض فيما ذكر في الآثار وفي الحديث المرفوع وفي الأثر المرفوع حتى وفي الحديث الضعيف تذكر هكذا بصيغة التمريض لا بصيغة الجزم. قال رسول الله، هذا صيغة إيش؟ الجزم. وإنما تذكره بصيغة التمريض. You mention that it's said, and you yourself do not believe decisively that the Rasul said it. Number 3, أن يندرج تحت أصل عام. It must fall under general validity. So right now there's a hadith regarding sadaqah and the rewards of sadaqah and the blessings of sadaqah, and the hadith is, for argument's sake, is what? Is weak. However, does it fall under the general umbrella of Bukhari and Muslim concerning sadaqah, the virtues of sadaqah? It's not something which is just foreign. So there are conditions for you mentioning the hadith da'if and fada'il al-amal. Now, very important for us to mention, تصحيح الحديث وتضعيفها قابل للاجتهاد. It's something which is going to be subjective. There are hadiths that the ulama agree upon being sound. And there are hadiths in which the ulama agree upon which they are what? They aren't sound. And in between وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورٌ لا يعلمهن كثير من الطلبة يصدق عليه. There are many hadiths in which there is what? There's a tug of war. Not Albani, the Imam Ahmad, Imam al-Bukhari. Imam al-Bukhari and his student, At-Tirmidhi. At-Tirmidhi opposed his teacher in several different hadith. Tirmidhi said the hadith is da'if. And Bukhari said no, it's sound. So making the hadith sound, there are conditions for it, as we learned. It's a science. It's not something which is the abath or ashwa'i. It's not some haphazard thing. But there are times in which the ulama differ on the principle and they differ on the application of the principle. What did Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah al-Hafiz al-Dhahabi say in Muqidha? وَلَا تَطْمَعْ أَن تَنْدَرِجَ كُلَّ الْأَحَادِيثِ الْحِسَانِ تحت أصلا يعني فأنا على إياس من ذلك. أنا أيست من هذا. The ulama, they're different on هل هو ثقة أم ضعيف, صدوق أم ضعيف. They differ on men. They differ on هل سمع منه أم لم يسمع منه. سنده متصل ولا مرسل. So there is khilaf in science of hadith. One scholar or student of knowledge, he may believe that the hadith is sound. So if he believes it's sound, you can't say, oh, it's daif. It's daif to you, but not to what? To me. Or the exact opposite. Everyone understand this? Last but not least, we have to be patient. We cannot be hasty. And we cannot take what one scholar or one student, one brother says, and apply that to everybody else. And if you do, you're going to cause chaos. Because when you read Kutub Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, fulan, you're going to find what? مشحونة بالأحاديث الضعيفة. هذه إشكالية. يفتح عليك باب للاعتراض على الأئمة. So you got to be careful. And all of this falls under ولا تقف ما ليس لك به علم. You don't know, you didn't study it thoroughly, then do what? Just listen, benefit, and learn. Empty your cup. And do not pass judgment upon people if you have not thoroughly studied the matter. And even if you have thoroughly studied the matter, you still do what? And take it easy. إنك لن تخرق الأرض ولن تبلغ الجبال طولا. You gotta take it slow down when you speak about the ulama and the books of hadith. Take it easy. Don't go so head first into things. Wallahu a'lam.
Last question, and sorry for the long, but I know everyone's thinking about this because it's been asked multiple times. Is it true to do tazkiyah properly? I need to pledge bay'ah to a sheikh or something.
Allah.
For him to guide me,
Allah.
because it's like having a madhab in fiqh,
Allah.
have a sheikh in sunnah.
Allah. How much Slurpee you got left? Al-Muhim, you must have allegiance to this imam or this scholar or this tariqah or this madhab. Now, we laugh and we joke about this. And of course, like Hassan mentioned, everybody's only thinking about just one group. But if you stop and you look at the other groups, they believe the same thing, but they just don't verbalize it. In order for you to be upon this, you must have and sit with what? Is this not the case? Are we making this up? And if you don't sit and study and devote yourself to us in this one, then you don't have what? So they have the same aqeedah. But the difference with the other group is that they're saying it verbally, outwardly. And they're not claiming to be upon the way of the Salaf Salih. They're saying, yes, we have dreams, and we have khalwa, and we have kashf and dhuk. You are claiming kitab, sunnah, ijma', but you have the same behavior as they do. And that is extremely dangerous. To think that Allah's mercy is restricted to one man. Allah's guidance is restricted to one man. Is that there's a gate through which you must pass. Ana madinatu ilmin wa aliyun babuha. The famous hadith over which the ulama differ, and I take the opinion the hadith is fabricated. I am a city of knowledge, and Ali is his gate. The messenger says, I am a city of knowledge, and Ali is his what? Is his gate. You cannot access the prophetic knowledge except through Ali and his descendants. So this behavior you'll find in all of the different groups. You can't be upon the sunnah and the correct aqeedah unless you what, Hisham? You have to sit with what? With us. Our shaykh. And if you don't, then you what? You don't have it. And then another group says you must give bay'ah. Put out your hand, swear loyalty and obedience to this imam and to this tariqah. That's, yani, what type of speech is this, yani? So what if I live in a town in which there is no imam to give bay'ah to? Then what? You just go to the hellfire? The shaitan is busy. He's always been busy. And he will remain busy as Allah Azza wa Jal allowed him to be busy. إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. Go ahead. And subhanAllah, look how Allah answered the dua of Iblis. Think about that. He asked Allah to give him time, and Allah said what? There you go. Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah, and it may be Sufyan ibn Uyayna, I'm unsure at the moment, it's one of the two. He mentioned that the Muslim should never ever despair from dua, no matter how many sins you have or make or commit. And don't ever think that Allah can't or won't answer your dua, because Allah Azza wa Jalla answered the dua of Iblis. No matter what sin you make, you're not worse than Iblis. Just let that sizzle on your mind. Let that marinate on your brain for a little bit. So ala kulli hal, that's incorrect, that's wrong. There is no one sheikh or school or teacher that you have to go through to get tazkiyah, to get hidayah, to get sunnah, to get aqidah. That is not from the teachings of the kitab, the sunnah, nor the ijma'. Wallahu ta'ala alam. You guys hopefully get the point. I'm trying to warn from extremism and whatever cloak or dagger or gown that it wears. That's the moral of the story. The teachings of Iblis are the teachings of Iblis. Even this group, that group, it's the same. And guidance of sacred knowledge, it comes even if a person is from this country or so on and so forth. That's the moral of the story. Shaitan, he doesn't care how you go to Jahannam. He doesn't care what name or what card you have. As long as you in the Mayadu Hizbo, that's his job. It's for you to go with him. So you go to the hellfire in the name of the deen, no problem. You go through women, you go through alcohol. And this is why Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah ta'ala wrote his book, Talbisu Iblis. Talbisu Iblis ala al-Qurra. Talbis Iblis ala al-Muhaddithin. Talbisu Iblis ala al-Mutasawwifa. Talbis, Allah tells us, the Prophet tells us, إن أول من تسعر بهم النار كم؟ ثلاثة منهم الشارب الخمر بلا عليك العقل والدي الفار يوم الزحف لا يا شيخ كيف؟
إنما قرأ ليقال قارئ فقط قيل.
Please, please. So be careful, guys. Allah Azza wa Jalla showing us best. Jazakumullah khairan. Barakallahu fikum. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمه انك انت